Mom, look how beautiful the Maldives are. For the fifth time, my son spread a glossy travel brochure across my coffee table, gushing about their upcoming family vacation. One I wasn't invited to. I'm 65 years old and this time I decided I'd had enough. I booked a solo trip to Egypt with $3,000 from my pension. If they won't take me, fine. I'll start living for myself. My name is Lucy. I'm 65. Ever since my husband passed, I've raised my son Daniel on my own. I scraped and saved to put him through school, sold our old home to help him buy his own, and handed over most of my retirement checks to support his family. But over the years, every time Daniel and his wife took a trip, I was always left out. The first time they said there wasn't enough room in the car. The second, the hotel reservation accidentally had no extra bed. The third, they told me I wasn't healthy enough. The fourth time, they didn't even bother making up an excuse. And now the fifth time, watching their beach photos flood social media, I felt something inside me go cold. If I'm not welcome in their plans, maybe it's time I make some of my own. Let's see who really needs whom. That evening, Daniel came over with a big smile and a stack of colorful brochures. Mom, look at this place. Angela and I decided to take Aiden to the Maldives next month. Just the three of us for a week. It's gonna be great. He spread the images across the coffee table. The ocean's so blue, the beaches are so white, Aiden's gonna love it. I set down my knitting and reached for my reading glasses. The pictures were stunning. Blue skies, palm trees, bungalows over turquoise water. It looked like something out of a dream. It's beautiful, I nodded. Aiden should really see the world. I paused, smiling. So when do we leave? I should probably start packing. Daniel's face twitched. His smile faltered. He glanced down at the brochures, clearly fumbling for words. Mom, it's just that. The Maldives is really far. The flight's long and with your health. By health. I raised an eyebrow. The doctor said I was in excellent shape just 2 months ago. I know, he mumbled. It's not that. It's just, the food, the climate, the whole environment, it might be hard for you to adjust. And with Aiden being so little, we'll need to focus on him. We might not have the energy to. I see, I said quietly, keeping my tone even. Well, you three have a great time. Travel safe. Mom, don't be upset. I'll bring you back something nice, he offered quickly. Next time we do something closer to home, we'll bring you along. Promise. Next time. I'd heard that line 4 times before. After he left, I sat on the sofa staring at the brochures still lying on the table. The Maldives really were beautiful, but not for people like me. Not for mothers who outlived their usefulness. 3 days later, Daniel's social media began filling up with pictures. Aiden grinning at the airport. Selfies on the plane. The three of them standing in crystal clear water, looking like a magazine family. Aiden's only 5. I've helped raise him since the day he was born. I've picked him up from preschool, sat by him through fevers and tantrums, taken him to the ER at 2 a.m. when Angela and Daniel were both too busy. I've held his hand through nightmares and taught him how to hold a spoon. But when it came time for a family vacation, I didn't make the cut. I remembered something my late husband once said. Lucy, when kids grow up, you have to learn to let go. You can't expect them to keep revolving around you. I wanted to argue with him then. But now I realize he was right. Still, being left out stings like hell. On the 4th day, Angela video called me. On screen, the three of them were sitting at a beachside restaurant, bathed in the glow of the setting sun. The scene looked like something off a postcard. Lucy, isn't it beautiful here? Angela said, panning the camera to show me the ocean in the distance. Aiden's having such a great time, he keeps saying he wishes you were here. Really? I forced a smile. Where is he? Let me see him. Aiden, come here. Grandma wants to see you, she called out. A few moments later, Aiden's little sunburned face appeared on the screen, lit up with a big smile. Grandma. I saw so many fish and even a turtle. That's amazing, sweetie. I'm so proud of you. Just seeing him made my heart feel a little lighter. Did you miss Grandma? Yes. Aiden nodded. Why didn't you come with us, Grandma? Daddy said you didn't want to. I froze. My eyes shifted past the camera to where Daniel was sitting. He'd clearly heard Aiden too. His face stiffened with discomfort as he quickly scooped Aiden up and out of frame. Lucy, he's just a kid, Angela said with a tight smile. He doesn't know what he's saying. You rest at home, we'll be back before you know it. When the call ended, I just sat there on the couch, staring at the darkened screen. Aiden's words pierced through me like a blade. So that's the story they were telling, that I didn't want to come. Not that I wasn't invited. I started replaying everything in my head. After Daniel graduated college, I sold the house I'd lived in for over 30 years to help him with the down payment on his own. I moved into a tiny one-bedroom apartment in an aging building. A place just big enough for me and no one else. When he got married, I gave them every last penny of my savings to help cover the wedding, the furniture, the appliances. When Angela got pregnant, I quit my part-time job at the grocery store to stay home and take care of her. And when Aiden was born, he became my whole world. I gave him the best of everything I had, my time, my energy, my heart. And what have I received in return? Excuses. Empty promises. Repeated exclusion masked as, next time we'll bring you. That night, Daniel posted again. A smiling family photo from their overwater bungalow with the caption, "Perfect family time. Grateful for everything." Perfect family time? Am I not part of that family? I shut off my phone but couldn't fall asleep. I tossed and turned into the early hours of the morning. My husband's words came back to me, his voice soft but firm. "Lucy, live for yourself. Stop orbiting other people." Maybe he was right. Maybe it's time I start thinking about me. The next morning, I went to the bank and withdrew my savings. I'd kept that money aside in case Daniel ever needed help. But now, I decided to use it for something else. For me. That afternoon, I walked into a travel agency and signed up for a 15-day group tour to Egypt. The girl at the front desk looked like she belonged on a magazine cover. Sunny, young, full of excitement. She tapped at her keyboard and beamed at me. "Solo traveler? That's awesome. This one's our most popular package. Pyramids, Luxor temples, Nile River cruise, and even a sunrise campout in the western desert." I nodded, picked up the pen and signed the last page of the confirmation form. "Yeah," I said with a smile. "It's time I do something just for me." $3,000. Almost 3 months of my Social Security checks. I used to hesitate over every dollar. But not this time. This time I wanted to spend it boldly. I wanted to stand in front of the Sphinx and listen to the wind echo through ancient stone. I wanted to sleep on the open deck of a cruise ship, stars glittering above the Nile. I wanted to bite into charcoal-grilled street meat and drink syrupy mint tea until I could taste life again. Until I could say I'm still here. When Daniel and his family got back, I was packing my suitcase. They knocked on the door just as I was debating whether or not to bring my new windbreaker. "Mom, we're back." Daniel's voice came through the door, bright and cheerful. "We brought you something." I opened it to find the three of them slightly tanned, tired, but in good spirits. Aiden saw me and ran straight into my arms, wrapping himself around my legs. "Grandma, I missed you so much." Aiden beamed up at me, his little face flushed and glowing. "I brought you a shell." I knelt down and wrapped him in a hug. Just like that, most of my anger melted away. No matter what, Aiden was innocent. He truly loved me. "Grandma missed you too," I said, kissing his warm cheek. "Where's the shell?" He dug into his tiny backpack and pulled out a small box, opening it to reveal a handful of beautiful seashells. "I found these on the beach. The prettiest ones are for you." "Thank you, sweetheart. Grandma loves them." I took the box, my heart filling with a quiet warmth. Daniel and Angela followed him inside, their arms loaded with shopping bags. "Lucy, look." Angela held up a silky blue scarf. "We got this for you. It's real silk, super light. And this, coconut oil. Great for your skin." "Thanks," I replied politely, accepting the gifts. Daniel glanced around the living room, and his eyes landed on the open travel brochure on the coffee table. "Mom, what's this?" "I'm going to Egypt next week," I said calmly. 15-day group tour. Silence fell over the room. Daniel and Angela exchanged surprised glances. "Egypt?" Daniel frowned. "Mom, that's really far. We're just worried about you going alone." "What's there to worry about? I'm not a child," I said, continuing to fold clothes into my suitcase. "And I'm going with a group. It's perfectly safe. But Egypt can be tough. The climate, the food, it might not be comfortable for you," Angela said gently. "Maybe wait until Daniel has time and we'll go somewhere closer together?" I stopped what I was doing and looked at them. "Weren't you the ones who said I wasn't fit for long trips? Now you're worried." My voice was steady but cold. Mom, that's not what we meant, Daniel began. What did you mean then? I cut him off. I wasn't invited to the Maldives. So I chose somewhere I could go. Besides, I've already paid. Not going would be a waste. How much did you pay? Daniel asked. 3,000. 3,000. Angela gasped. That's expensive. Why didn't you talk to us first? Talk to you about what? I snapped, my patience thinning. Spending my own money? Did you talk to me before booking your trip? Daniel winced, understanding the weight behind my words. Mom, are you still upset with us? Why would I be upset? I let out a bitter laugh. You three are clearly the perfect little family. What does an outsider like me have to be upset about? Don't say that, Angela protested. You're not an outsider. Really? I looked them both in the eye. Let me remind you. Florida, no room in the car. Hawaii, hotel room got messed up. Japan, not healthy enough. France, you didn't even bother with a reason. And this time, you told Aiden I didn't want to go. Daniel's face turned red with shame. Mom, we didn't mean to. You didn't mean to? Then what did you mean? My voice rose. I sold my house to help you buy yours. I gave you my savings. I raised your son like he was my own. And after all that, I'm still not worth a damn spot on a plane. Aiden, startled by our raised voices, began to cry softly, hiding behind Angela's legs. Seeing him cry broke something in me. I softened, my voice lowering. Forget it. It's done. You had your fun and I'm going to have mine. Mom, Daniel tried again. There's nothing left to say. I waved him off. You should go. I've got packing to finish and shopping to do. They stood there for a moment, speechless. Then, silently, they turned and left, Aiden still clinging to Angela. After they left, I sat down on the couch, feeling a mix of emotions. Maybe I'd been a bit harsh earlier, but after holding everything in for so long, it had to come out sooner or later. That night Daniel called. Mom, are you really going to Egypt? Of course. I already paid, I said firmly. When will you be back? His voice sounded a little off. 15 days. It's all in the itinerary. I raised an eyebrow. Why? No reason, he muttered. Then a pause. Aiden's going to miss you. He already does. He's been asking about you. That softened me for a moment. But I didn't back down. Well, I said, maybe it's time he learned what missing someone feels like. You said he's still a kid, right? Then let him understand, Grandma can leave too. Mom. I need to sleep, I cut him off. Got an early morning tomorrow. I hung up and lay in bed, feelings swirling. Of course I'd miss Aiden. But they needed to understand, I'm not their live-in help. I have a life too. The next day I went shopping for the trip, hiking boots, a wide-brimmed hat, a good thermos. The total came to nearly $1,000. The old me would have flinched at the price. But now, spending on myself felt right. At the checkout, the young cashier looked up with curiosity. Planning a hiking trip, ma'am? Nope, I said, proud and smiling. Egypt. Solo. Wow, that's so cool, she grinned, giving me a thumbs up. I don't even dare travel alone yet. I walked out of that store with a little more spring in my step. Being admired by someone young. It felt good. That evening, Angela texted me. Lucy, Daniel's been in a funk all day. He keeps blaming himself. We didn't mean to leave you out. We just didn't think it through. Her words made my heart soften. But then I remembered all those years, all those times. I replied, it's okay. What's done is done. I'm focusing on myself now. Another message came quickly. Aiden's been asking when you'll come see him again. That one hit harder. Aiden was my weakness. I'd give anything for him. But this time I needed to stay the course. We'll talk after I get back from Egypt, I typed. The next few days were quiet. Daniel and Angela didn't stop by and barely called. I kept myself busy, packing, reading travel blogs, making lists. It felt good to think only of myself. The night before my departure, I was doing one final luggage check when the doorbell rang. I opened it, and there stood Aiden in his pajamas, barefoot, clutching a stuffed animal. His eyes were red. He'd clearly snuck out. Aiden? What on earth? I scooped him up instantly. Do your parents know you're here? He shook his head. No. I snuck out. Grandma, are you really leaving? My heart broke in an instant. I crouched down, holding him close. Grandma's just going on a little trip. I'll be back real soon, I promise. But Daddy said you're mad. That you don't want us anymore. His voice cracked and the tears came. Grandma, I'll be good. I won't be naughty anymore. Please don't leave me. His sobs tore right through me. In a child's mind, my leaving meant abandonment. In his little world, it meant I didn't love him. Oh, sweetheart, I whispered, hugging him tight. Grandma could never stop loving you. Never ever. You're my favorite person in the whole world. Then why are you going? He cried into my shoulder. I don't want you to go. How do you explain to a 5-year-old the weight of adult resentment? How do you tell him that love can still exist alongside hurt? That even grandmothers need to be included to be seen? Before I could answer, I heard the pounding of footsteps outside. Daniel and Angela rushed in, both breathless, panic in their eyes. The moment they saw Aiden in my arms, they exhaled with relief. Aiden, you scared us to death. Daniel scolded, though worry outweighed any anger in his voice. I wanted to see Grandma. Aiden clung to me tightly. I don't want her to leave. Angela stepped forward, arms outstretched to take him, but Aiden pulled away. I'm not going home. I want to stay with Grandma. Watching him, my heart twisted. He was just a child, innocent and pure in his love for me, needing nothing more than to feel wanted. Aiden, I whispered, rubbing his back, Grandma promises I'll be back soon, okay? I'll even bring you presents, lots of them. And a really cool hat. Really? He sniffled, lifting his tear-filled eyes to mine. Really? When have I ever lied to you? I kissed his damp cheek. But right now you need to go home and get some sleep. You've got preschool tomorrow. He hesitated but finally nodded. Daniel picked him up gently, ready to leave. At the door, Daniel turned to me. Mom, the truth is we did think about inviting you on those trips. Every time. It's just what? I asked. He looked down. I thought maybe your lifestyle just didn't match ours. I was worried you wouldn't enjoy it. I thought maybe you preferred peace and quiet. And did you ever ask me? I said calmly but firmly. How would you know what I like if you never asked? Daniel had no reply. Forget it, I said, waving him off. It's the past. You should go. I've got an early morning. After they left, I sat alone in the living room, surrounded by my packed luggage. 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind. Maybe I was doing the right thing. Maybe for once it was time to live for myself. The next morning, I wheeled my suitcase into the hotel lobby where the tour group was gathering. Our guide, Khaled, a cheerful Egyptian in his 30s, stood out front holding a little flag, greeting everyone with a wide smile and a booming voice. Welcome to Egypt, my friends. Over the next 15 days, we'll explore this ancient and magical land together. From the pyramids to the Valley of the Kings, from Nile cruises to the temples of Abu Simbel, this journey will be unforgettable. There were 18 of us total. Most were middle-aged or older like me. A few younger couples were tagging along, one of them clearly on their honeymoon. I took a window seat on the bus, watching the busy streets of Cairo fade into the distance. The city buzzed with markets and traffic, and yet a strange calm settled over me. This was my first time traveling abroad alone. I felt both excited and nervous. My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Mom, be safe. Let us know if you need anything. I simply replied, okay, then switched the phone to airplane mode. For this trip, I didn't want any interruptions. We landed in Luxor at 3 p.m. The air was warm and dry, laced with the golden scent of desert sun. Nothing like the damp chill of the East Coast. That night we stayed in an old hotel along the Nile. My room had wooden shutters and old colonial charm. I filmed a short video and sent it to Aiden, telling him Grandma had made it to Egypt safe and sound. Not long after, Daniel replied with a clip. Aiden stood in the kitchen, hair tousled from sleep, saying, Grandma, be safe. I'm waiting for you to come back. My eyes welled up. That boy, no matter what, he was still the anchor of my heart. The next day our real adventure began. First stop, Karnak Temple. The colossal stone columns loomed like ancient guardians, bathing in sunlight, casting shadows as timeless as history itself. I snapped photo after photo and posted them to my social media. Then the comments rolled in. Carol from down the hall. Lucy, you're amazing. So brave to travel solo. Old coworkers chimed in. You look fantastic. You're glowing, Lucy. Their words lifted something in me. Felt good. No, it felt right, to be seen not just as someone's mom or grandma but as a person in her own right. Daniel and Angela though? Not a single like. No comment. Not even a view. It stung a little. But then I looked up, at the intricate carvings over 3,000 years old, at the golden dusk settling over the Nile, and let that pain dissolve into the ancient breeze. On the third day we set out for Aswan, stopping midway at a traditional Nubian village. It was my first time experiencing daily life so far removed from my own. Flatbreads baking over open coals, hand-dyeing fabrics in vibrant colors, families raising camels, and children dancing around us singing songs I couldn't understand. There was an older gentleman in our group from Atlanta named Charles. He was 76, just a few years older than me, and his story shook something inside me. My wife passed 3 years ago, he said as we sat sipping mint tea under a woven canopy. My 2 kids live in Singapore and Amsterdam. They're too busy to come home. So I just sat on my couch in Georgia staring at the wall for months. One day I woke up and thought, enough. I packed my bag and left. This is my 12th solo trip abroad. 12. I blinked at him in awe. He laughed heartily. What's there to be afraid of? We only get one life. I wasn't put here to be scenery in someone else's story. My kids have their lives, and I deserve to have mine. His words hit me like a hammer. Right then I realized, maybe I needed to be more like Charles. To stop anchoring my whole identity to my son and grandson. To stop waiting for them to find time or to look back. I needed my own world. On the 4th day we traveled south of Luxor and visited a marvel carved straight into the cliffs, Abu Simbel. Golden morning light poured over the massive statues of Ramses II, their faces calm and proud as if silently telling stories of thousands of years past. Below them stretched the still blue waters of Lake Nasser, the mirror of heaven and stone, like a secret shared between earth and sky. Standing at the viewing platform, wind from the desert brushing against my cheeks, I felt something open in my chest, something I hadn't known was closed. Peace. Oh. Space to breathe. And I thought of Greg, my late husband. If he were still alive we would have come here together. He always said he wanted to see a real pyramid to stand by the Nile and take a photo for the mantle. But now I was here on my own. And it was still good. Still full. Still mine. My phone buzzed. It was a video call from Aiden. He was sitting at the dinner table, spoon in one hand, grinning as he saw me. Grandma, where are you? That looks amazing. I turned the camera toward the lake. This is Lake Nasser, sweetheart. And that's Abu Simbel behind me. Isn't it beautiful? Whoa. That's so cool. He clapped his little hands. Are there crocodiles in the lake? There are. But Grandma's not afraid. I smiled. Because Grandma is super brave. He giggled, showing those 2 little front teeth I adored. I believe you. In the corner of the screen I could just make out Daniel and Angela at the dinner table too. They stayed off camera. They didn't say a word. My heart fluttered with something unspoken, but Aiden's laugh, light and clear like the wind along the Nile, blew it all gently away. On the 5th day we entered the edge of the Sahara. Miles and miles of golden sand stretched out before us, glowing like a silent, burning sea under the sunset. For the first time in my life I climbed onto a camel. I was nervous at first, the way my body rocked with each step. But that fear soon gave way to something exhilarating, something new. Some of the younger travelers helped me take photos and I posted one of myself smiling atop a dune. First time on a camel. Feeling like an adventurer. It blew up. Even classmates I hadn't spoken to since high school chimed in. Lucy, you look 10 years younger. And they meant it. Felt good. No, powerful. To be seen as vibrant, alive, not defined by motherhood or widowhood or quiet sacrifice. But still no comment. Well, not a word from Daniel or Angela. And that absence began to gnaw at me. Was something wrong? That night I made the call. Daniel, is everything okay? We're fine, Mom, he said, his voice tired. How's the trip? Wonderful. Egypt is amazing. I hesitated. How's Aiden? He just went to bed, Daniel said, then paused. Mom, when exactly are you coming back? I frowned. Didn't I send you the itinerary? I've got 10 more days here. Oh. Right. His tone was awkward. Just checking. Be safe, okay? We'll be here when you get back. After I hung up, something felt off. It wasn't simple concern. It was calculation. A measuring of time when I'd return when they'd have me back in orbit. But I couldn't quite put my finger on what exactly was wrong. Over the next few days we visited more places, each more breathtaking than the last. We cruised along the Nile on a small boat, stargazing at night, drifting past Luxor's farmlands and ancient temples by day. We stopped in Hurghada, a Red Sea town where the water shimmered like glass, and schools of fish darted between my feet. Then we wandered through the old city of Heliopolis, just south of Cairo, where crumbling walls whispered the pride and wisdom of ancient Egyptians. Every day brought a new view to fall in love with. And at every stop I felt a new version of myself stirring awake. On the 10th night, we stayed in a Bedouin tent camp nestled in an oasis on the edge of the Red Sea desert. Colorful fabrics draped the tents. Carpets blanketed the ground. Above us, stars blinked like secrets in the vast desert sky. After dinner we gathered around a campfire. A group of young Bedouins picked up drums and an oud, singing ancient ballads in voices that seemed to echo straight from the heart of the dunes, wind-carved, haunting, beautiful. In that moment I felt something I hadn't in years: joy. And freedom. Not the kind that comes from escape but from reclaiming something lost. I realized then, it's not that I don't love my family. Of course I do. Always have. But I also want to be loved back, with respect. I want to belong not as a given, not as a silent fixture in the corner, but as a person who matters. On the 11th day we visited the Valley of the Kings across the river from Luxor. There, beneath the blazing sun, lie the tombs of pharaohs long gone. Inside, dim lights illuminated murals that had survived thousands of years. I stood before the resting place of Tutankhamun, staring at the intricate paintings about life, death and eternity, and felt a strange, serene calm. A human life is short. Painfully short. And I had spent most of mine pouring every ounce of myself into others, never pausing to truly see me. As I turned to leave the tomb my phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hi, is this Ms. Lucy Harris?" said a young female voice. "Yes, speaking," I replied, slightly puzzled. "I'm calling from First United Bank to confirm a recent transaction. Did you make a $3,000 payment to a travel agency in Egypt?" "Yes, that was me," I said. "Great, thank you. We've also noticed several recent purchases, outdoor gear, apparel and local crafts, totaling around $4,000 over the past 2 weeks. Were those authorized by you as well?" I frowned slightly but answered, "Yes. All of them." "Understood. It's just a routine check. The spending pattern is a bit outside your usual activity," she explained politely. After I hung up, a strange discomfort settled over me. Outside my usual spending pattern? What's that supposed to mean? Just because I'm an older woman, I'm only allowed to buy groceries and blood pressure meds? I'm not supposed to live? I shook it off quickly. This trip, this moment of my life, is the first time I've truly lived for me. No one gets to define that. Not even a bank algorithm. On the 12th day, we arrived in Cairo's Islamic Old Town. We wandered through narrow stone alleyways, where boys played soccer at the corners and old men sat outside tea houses, basking in the sun. The air was thick with the long, echoing calls to prayer. I stood before an ancient mosque, its worn brick walls and sun-aged bronze doors quietly majestic. For reasons I couldn't explain, I felt completely at peace. Inside a tiny artisan shop, I found the perfect headscarf for Aiden. A boy's keffiyeh edged with colorful embroidery and patterned with hieroglyphs and little cats, symbols of the Egyptian goddess Batet. For myself I picked out a light golden shawl, soft as morning light over the Nile. The shopkeeper, a warm Egyptian man, looked at me curiously. "You travel alone?" he asked with surprise and admiration. "Respect, madam. You have strong heart." I smiled. It took me a while to realize I could. As he handed me my wrapped purchases he added, "My own mother would never dare travel alone. You're inspiring." His words landed gently but firmly like a hand over my heart. Over these past few days I'd heard that phrase over and over, "You're brave. You're different." Those voices felt like sunlight pouring into a room that had been locked for years. For the first time I really looked in the mirror. And I saw it clearly. I was never just valuable because I was needed. I was valuable because I exist. Because I am. And I am extraordinary. That night in my hotel room I was sorting through the hundreds of photos I'd taken. Sunrises over temple ruins, golden sand dunes, Nile River sunsets, candid moments where I was laughing with people I'd only just met. Each image wasn't just a snapshot of the world. I saw, in those pictures, a version of myself I'd almost forgotten existed. A woman who smiled freely. A woman who belonged to herself. Then my phone rang. It was Daniel. "Mom, are you okay?" His voice was tight with worry. "I saw on the news there's a big windstorm in Egypt. Are you safe?" "I'm fine. The wind isn't bad and we're indoors anyway." I was touched. Maybe he did care more than I gave him credit for. "We're heading back tomorrow. I'll be home the day after." "Thank God." He exhaled heavily. "Aiden's been talking about you nonstop. He keeps saying he wants you to tell him Egypt stories when you get back." "I've got plenty. And gifts for everyone," I said, smiling. "Even a little something for you and Angela." There was a pause. Then Daniel said, his voice thick, I'm sorry. We were wrong." I blinked. I hadn't expected him to say that, not so directly. "It's okay," I said quietly. "The past is past." "No," he said more firmly this time. "I need to say it. I need you to hear it. These days without you, it's made me realize just how much you mean to this family. Aiden asks for you every night. Angela even said the house feels cold without you in it. We were selfish. We just expected you to orbit around us. We never stopped to ask what you wanted or needed." His words hit me harder than I expected. My eyes welled up. This was the apology I'd been waiting for. Not just words but recognition. "Mom, can you forgive us?" His voice cracked. "I promise we'll never leave you out again." "Silly boy," I said, wiping a tear. "Of course I forgive you. I'm just glad you finally see it." "We can't wait for you to come home," he said, then hesitated. "And there's something else. Something we need your help with." I straightened. "What is it? Is Aiden okay?" "Aiden's fine," he said quickly. "It's something else. I'd rather talk about it when you're home." "All right," I said, though a knot formed in my stomach. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The next day we began our journey back. On the flight, I looked out the window at the endless stretch of desert below. The past 2 weeks felt surreal, like a vivid dream. But it had changed me. This trip didn't just open my eyes to the world, it opened my eyes to myself. And I knew now, no matter your age, you deserve a life that's your own. We landed just after 9 p.m. Daniel and Angela were waiting at the gate. With Aiden, even though it was hours past his bedtime. "Grandma." Aiden ran toward me and hugged my legs tight. "I missed you so much." "I missed you too, sweet boy," I said, crouching down to embrace him. He felt thinner. "Have you been eating okay?" "Yes, but it's not as yummy as Grandma's food," he pouted. "Did you bring me something?" I laughed and pulled out the little gift bag from my suitcase. "Look. A hat from Egypt. You're going to look just like a little pharaoh." He grabbed the colorful headpiece and ran to the mirror, spinning in circles. "It's perfect. Thank you, Grandma." Seeing him happy filled me with warmth. No matter what happened, this child would always be my softest spot. Back home, I started unpacking and handing out souvenirs. A silk tie for Daniel. A skincare set for Angela. "Mom, this is too much," Angela said gently, embarrassed as she accepted the gift. "You shouldn't spend so much on us." "It's fine," I replied with a smile. "It's my money. I'm finally learning to spend it with joy. This trip taught me something important. Money's meant to be used, not just saved." Daniel and Angela exchanged a quick glance but said nothing. By the time I finished unpacking, it was late. Aiden was dozing off in Angela's arms and she took him home to put him to bed. Daniel stayed behind. "There's something I need to talk to you about," he said, his tone shifting. "Mom, how was the trip?" Daniel sat on the couch, looking a little uneasy, his fingers fidgeting with the hem of his sleeve. "It was amazing," I said, handing him a glass of water. "Egypt is beautiful. The people are kind. I really needed this trip." I paused, then asked, "And you? How have things been at home?" He hesitated. "It's been okay." He glanced at me, then looked away. "Mom, there's something I need to tell you." Just from his tone, I knew it wasn't going to be good. "What is it, Daniel? Don't dance around it." He took a deep breath. "I got laid off. Last month." "What?" I stared at him in disbelief. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" "I didn't want to worry you. And I thought I'd find something quickly, he said, lowering his head. But I've sent out a ton of resumes. No one's called back. And now the mortgage is breathing down our necks. He didn't need to finish. I understood. A $2,000 mortgage payment is no joke for someone unemployed. What about Angela? How's her job? She's still working, but her income barely covers the basics, Daniel said quietly. We're falling behind. Mom, I know it's awful timing, but... You want me to help cover the mortgage? I said flatly. No. I mean, he waved his hands. Just borrow. A little. Just until I'm back on my feet. I swear I'll pay it back. I didn't answer right away. I studied him, the son I'd raised alone. His face was drawn, eyes shadowed with stress. Clearly, the weight of everything was crushing him. When exactly did you get laid off? I asked. Middle of last month. Just after we got back from the Maldives. He admitted. And you didn't think to tell me then? My voice hardened. If I hadn't gone traveling, would you still be hiding it from me? I wanted to fix it myself. He looked ashamed. I didn't want to burden you. Not burden me? I scoffed. How much did that Maldives trip cost you? His face flushed. $10,000. 10,000. My voice rose. You were already about to lose your job and you still spent that much? We booked it before I was laid off. It was non-refundable, he said quickly. And I really thought I'd land something right away. So you were willing to spend $10,000 on a beach vacation, but couldn't spare one extra ticket for me? The anger boiled back up. And now that the money's gone, now that the bills are choking you, you remember your mother exists? No, it's not like that. Daniel tried to speak, but I cut him off. Then what is it? I stood up, pacing. When you're flush with cash, I'm invisible. But when you're broke, suddenly I'm the bank. Mom, please don't say that, Daniel's voice cracked. His eyes were wet. I know we messed up, but I'm out of options. If we miss more payments, we could lose the house. I looked at him, really looked. He wasn't lying. He was scared, desperate, and he was still my son. But this trip taught me something vital. Unconditional love does not mean unconditional sacrifice. Giving without boundaries only teaches people to keep taking. How much do you need? I asked, my tone level. Just 3 months. 6,000, he said cautiously. I promise I'll find something soon. I'll pay you back. And if you don't? I asked. I'll figure something out, he said, his voice almost a whisper. Mom, I'll lend you the money, but on one condition, I said after a long silence. Anything. Just name it, Daniel replied quickly, almost too eagerly. 3 conditions actually, I corrected him, sitting up straight. First, this is a loan, not a gift. You'll sign a note and pay it back in 3 months. Second, from now on, if there's a family vacation, I'm included. No more leaving me out. And third, when I come to your house for dinner, I don't want to feel like a guest in my own family. Daniel blinked, caught off guard, then slowly nodded. Yes, I agree to all of that. Mom, I'm so sorry. We were wrong. Truly. Realizing your mistake is the first step, I said, my voice softening a little. But after this, I want you to treat me like I'm part of the family, not just someone who disappears until you need something. Mom, you are the most important part of our family, he said, voice shaking. I swear I'll never make you feel left out again. Looking at him, raw, honest, I believed he meant it. Sometimes, it takes hitting rock bottom to finally see what truly matters. The next morning, I went to the bank and withdrew $6,000. I gave him an extra $2,000 as a safety cushion. Daniel signed a handwritten loan note, promising to repay it with interest in 3 months. Thank you, Mom. Daniel took the envelope with tears in his eyes. I won't let you down. I promise. Focus on getting back on your feet, I said, patting his shoulder. But remember the promises you made. I will, he said solemnly. In the days that followed, I could feel the change. Angela started inviting me over for dinner regularly. Daniel would call just to check in or talk about work leads. Aiden clung to me like glue, always begging for more Egypt stories. A month later, Daniel called, sounding breathless and excited. Mom, I got a job, he said. The pay isn't as high as before, but the company has potential, and it's close to home. I'll finally have more time with you and Aiden. That's great news, sweetheart. What matters most is stability. Everything else will come. Mom, I want to start repaying you right away, he said. I know it's early, but I don't want to keep the debt hanging over us. There's no rush. Just make sure you're okay first, I said. You've been through a lot. Focus on rebuilding. 2 months later, I received a transfer for $6,600. When I opened the message, I just sat there quietly, hand on my heart. It wasn't about the money. It was about the respect, the accountability, the shift I'd been waiting for. What moved me even more was what Daniel said next. Mom, he told me one night after dinner, we're planning a trip to Japan in the spring to see the cherry blossoms. And this time we're starting with you. We're saving up for the best hotel. You're coming with us. I blinked. You really want me to come? Of course, Angela chimed in. You went to Egypt alone. We're not letting you fly across the globe solo again. Besides, Aiden said a trip without grandma doesn't count. My eyes welled with tears. This was what I had hoped for. Not luxury. Not repayment. Just inclusion. Real, heartfelt inclusion. 3 months later they kept their word. The 4 of us stood under clouds of soft pink cherry blossoms in Kyoto. Aiden wore a little yukata and raced between the trees. We chased him, laughing, the sound echoing like wind chimes through the park. And in that moment I knew, every ounce of pain, every tear, every lonely dinner, had all led me to this joy. This healing. This family. At a quiet temple tucked away behind a row of sakura trees, I made a wish. May my family stay whole. May my son and grandson stay healthy and kind. And may I continue to live bravely, for me. When I got home I printed 2 photo books. One for Egypt, one for Japan. Side by side they told the story of 2 turning points in my life. Egypt was when I remembered who I was. Japan was when my family remembered me. Now, whenever friends say how lucky I am to have such a thoughtful son and daughter-in-law, I just smile and say, good relationships don't fall from the sky. They're built, with effort, respect, and mutual understanding. From being excluded to being embraced, it took one bold journey to prove my worth. And my son? He had to lose control to learn to appreciate love. Sometimes standing your ground, not in anger but in truth, is the only way to be seen. As love, real love, should never be a one-way street.